Is it recording? Is it for fun?
Bonus points if you know what that's from.
No one's going to know what that's
Nobody
from.
will get it.
But they know what this shit's all about. Welcome everybody to Doctor Who Review video podcast. Husband, wife, watching Doctor Who from the very beginning. We're both.
Yeah.
And we're up to Series 4, 2008, babe Hugh. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And it's been a month since our last recording because we've had some health scares and vaccines.
Health scare makes it sound like it's much scarier than it was.
Basically,
I mean, a job guy.
One of us has been very unwell, and one of us has been getting settled into a new job.
Whilst I've not been going to my job.
Yeah, so we've been a bit busy. We watched these 3 episodes that we're discussing today, Partners in Crime, Fires of Pompeii, Planet of the Ood, about 3 weeks ago.
Feels longer than that.
It's been a while. We haven't actually recorded a video in just over a month. We've only recorded the Voyage of the Damned video. Yeah.
I sneezed about 5 minutes before we started recording and my throat hurts.
If anyone's wondering if we're still going to get lost in tangents, then the answer is probably.
I'm having a choc ice for the first time in my adult life.
That's not true.
I think it is.
We've had choc ices in the freezer in this house before.
Yeah, but did they get eaten?
No, because you always don't eat freezer stuff. You get lollies and then leave them there forever. There were gin lollies in our freezer that have been there for about 3 years.
I know. Just fermenting.
Speaking of things taking ages to get to,
Sorry.
Doctor Who Review. Not Chris. Do you want to tell everybody about Partners in Crime?
Partners in Cream.
Crime. Partners in Cream is a very different version of this.
Sticky. Yeah, who do we start off with? We start off with Donna, don't we?
You don't have to walk it through exact if you don't want, but we start with both. We're watching 2 stories unfold.
Mm. The Doctor is investigating a company which happens to be also being investigated by a journalist.
Well.
And then it also happens to be investigated by Miss Donna Noble.
Not to be confused with Minnie, she's not pointing at the dog, she's pointing at the
I'm
toy.
pointing at the toy. And they don't know that they're both investigating this. And it's a company that is claiming that you take a pill and you...
The fat just walks away is the tagline. Yeah.
And they're investigating, how is this even possible? But the effects are real.
Yeah,
Right,
both Donna and the Doctor got to speak to different people about it. Both taking similar lanes. It's done so beautifully, the visuals. We see them nearly bumping into each other at least 3 times. It's kind of fantastic.
Yeah, so...
What does Donna witness? Well, she doesn't witness it, she's the after effects, doesn't she? She
somehow gets all of the names and addresses of people that have had this from that office, and then I realised, it's only in recent years, in the last 10 years, that's illegal to do because that's sharing people's data.
Yeah, this is 2008.
My mind
yeah,
that was not a thing.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
I mean, you still get versions of that nowadays, where, paparazzi scumbags will get people's wedding certificates from places.
That is beyond disgusting.
It's gross, but yeah. But anyway,
I hate that happens to people,
but here it's Donna doing something good because she's trying. She's like, there's something weird about this.
Who wants to speak to somebody? Sorry. Who wants to speak to somebody? That didn't help at all. She wants to speak to somebody that was going through that, and she's going for a night out. This woman that she's gone to the hairdresser, and she's in the bathroom, she's sorting herself out, and she isn't Donna playing with the
she
like
got
a
one
free
of the
gift when you sign up to this.
Yeah, it's a little necklace
thing.
with an adipose pill pendant on it.
Yeah, and she's turning it, and it's making this horrendous squeaking sound, and then things start happening to the lady upstairs and to people in the surround. Is it just her?
Well, it's just her. She bursts into, very slowly, she starts to sort of shed body mass as these tiny little cute, smiling, wavy mascot things. And then Donna turns the what's-it, not knowing this is happening, and the woman essentially melts into a load of them, and they all leave the house.
But Donna doesn't know that this turning is doing that.
Meanwhile, the doctor's investigating with a guy who's like lost a few stone in a month of being on the trial, but doctor's like, has anything weird happened other than that? And he's like, well, funny you mention it. I get woken up every night at the exact same time. By what I think it sounds like a noise. The alarm goes off at the exact same time every night, and they deduce that something's going out of his boarded up cat flap.
Weird.
So it's like something is leaving the house. So obviously it's great because you're watching both the things happening simultaneously, and you're assuming, oh, one of those things is popping out of his body every night at the same time while he's asleep.
Like really cold.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
So the fat just walks away. That's it's literally what's happening.
You can't fault them for telling the truth.
That's true. You can't fault them for the murder. Why is Donna doing this in the first place?
Because she tried traveling the world. She tried getting a new job and all that, and it's just traveling with the Doctor can't be replicated by anything else. And
she'd not travelled with him, but she obviously realised what she'd passed the opportunity for.
Yeah.
And she's kind of she's investigating stuff. It's like what, in this series, this show, it's what we know Sarah Jane to have been doing.
Yeah.
But Donna's doing it deliberately because she's hoping to bump into the Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
To revise her turning down of his invite to travel with him.
And hey, what do you know? It works.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. She's off on a roller gate to travel with the Doctor. That's the plan, but they just keep missing each other. Her dad's passed away since we'd last seen them, because the actor in real life had passed away. What is the name of the actor? Howard Atfield, who played Geoffrey Noble in The Runaway Bride. So they made some changes behind the scenes and included instead her grandfather, Wilfred Mott, played by the bloody wonderful Bernard Cribbins. Hang on a minute, didn't we see him in the last episode? Yes, we did. Because retroactively, the newspaper bloke from the last episode is Donna's granddad.
Yay!
Which is quite cute.
Every man.
And Wilf's got a little allotment and he looks up at the stars every night. And his and Catherine Tate's... I mean, Bernard Cribbins, Catherine Tate and Jacqueline King do really good work together this series whenever we see the three of them together or in pairs. Like, they're very believably a granddad, a very fussy daughter, and a sort of off in her own world granddaughter. They're very believable. Their relationships, the way it works, Wilf focusing on Donna's like idealism and obviously her desire to do more, and he wants her to do more because he can see that she wants to lead a more interesting life and learn stuff and travel. Like, he's there for her, but he's also kind of realistic. He's like, yeah, it's probably not good at that, but you never know. He's like, them aliens, they're all out there. We've seen them now, and
Do you know what's really sad though?
What?
Her granddad wasn't invited to her wedding.
I can't remember, but I'm sure there's a line explaining why he wasn't there in an episode. I'm going to look that up real quick while you tell everybody who Miss Foster is. Played by the bloody wonderful Sarah Lancashire.
Miss Foster is the kind of CEO of the diet pill that's been going on. And what's it called, though?
It's Adipose.
Is that what the company's called?
Yeah, Adipose Industries. And the pill's called Adipose. And
this journalist I referenced earlier.
Verona Joseph as Penny Carter. He does love using Marvel names, albeit tweaked, doesn't he?
My God.
Yeah.
It's quite an obvious one. She, like Donna, knows that something's going on, and she is working for it. Is it a newspaper or a magazine or something she's working for?
I can't remember exactly, but she's going to crack it. Basically, she's like, I knew something was dodgy here, and I'm going to.
And they find her trying to stay when everybody's gone home after work, and they end up interrogating her. And as she's being interrogated by what's her name? What's the character's name?
Miss Foster.
Miss Foster. The Doctor has figured out something's going on, so he's on the outside watching through the window, whereas Donna is on the inside watching through the door window. And they just happen to spot each other.
In, quite frankly, the best scene.
It is
of the entire episode.
Hilarious.
And one of the strongest scenes of Doctor Who's revival. And one of the strongest scenes of Doctor Who ever, really. It's so good.
Donna is just so delighted that she's found him. The whole reason that she's doing this. And the Doctor's just like, what the heck is going on? What are you doing here? But they're miming at each other, obviously, because it's far away.
I can see that. Like, you can't hear them, but you can hear them.
You can hear them, yeah.
Like, it's
really funny.
Brilliant.
And whilst they're doing this, you're thinking to yourself, how have the people inside the room not noticed that these two people are having a conversation through the windows? And they just happen to look over, and yeah, they've noticed them.
They've been watching.
And they're just watching them. Chase ensues.
What's Miss Foster's plan?
Miss Foster's plan is, she's not of this world, shall we say?
In fact, she has a full name.
She is.
So I'm going to try and look up to get it right. Get it right, Brian.
Her human name is chosen because she is she's helping a new generation of these aliens to, bring them to life, really. So she is a nanny.
Yeah,
she's a foster mom.
I remember the first part of the name. The first part of the name is the matron Capaldi, but I can't remember the rest of it for the life of me. But yeah, she's a wet nurse. She's a nanny. She's surrogate mom. No, but like she's all of these sort of roles into bringing the adipose into the world.
Yeah.
Ready to go. And the plan essentially is we learn that the adipose planets have gone missing. Which is the second mention of that, because there was a mention of one of the planets going missing in Voyage of the Damned, if I remember correctly. But adipose planets gone missing, so they're trying to sort of repopulate. And the way they do it is adipose, these little buggers, are created through converted flesh, bone, and other tissue. And this diet pill...
And fat.
Yeah, and fat. This diet pill... Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Fat is enough to do it. But, like, the rest of a human body can be turned into it in an emergency. That's what happened with the woman in the bathroom. She was given too big of a signal too early on, unbeknownst to Donna. And her entire body was turned into adipose. And the plan is to...
So essentially, did Donna kill that woman by accident?
By accident, yeah. Oh, without knowing it. She'll never know, to be fair.
Jeez.
Murderer! But, yeah, so the plan was to roll the diet plan out in the UK, and they're talking to people in America, and they were going to spread it and, infuse it. But in case of emergency, they always have the option to basically pull the trigger, like, triple the signal, make as many adipose as they can from people already on the pill, and then take those numbers with them.
Yeah.
So they were planning to slowly drain and maybe kill hundreds of millions of people, but because everything's been found out, the matron Capaldi, Miss Foster's quite happy to rush it forward and just kill a few million. You're like, oh my god, you psycho.
Well, this
And she'd do anything for the babies. That's the thing, isn't it? She'd do anything for them, including make them and murder millions to make it happen.
The thing is, she managed to do it in a way that, realistically would work. Like, people try fad diets.
I think,
the time.
I remember around the time this is coming out, the UK was still kind of in that weird grip of the Atkins diet phase. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was such a big thing.
Diet pills have always been a thing, and kids, they don't work. So don't even waste your money on them.
So it's a nice kind of turning something that you recognise into an alien threat.
Yeah. It is something that, she does make a joke that she wanted to start it in America, didn't she?
Yeah, but they couldn't quite get the funding or whatever it was at first, so
Which is mind-boggling, because it's like, that would go down so well in America.
They trialled it to the UK first, and then they're starting to spread out. So it's kind of creepy. It's like, basically, it's the I have to feed the monster story. Like, I'm feeding the monster because it's the right thing, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. But it's creating the monster.
Yeah.
for Mummy and Daddy, who quite rightly the Doctor and Donna twig when she's sort of being carried up in the tractor beam and all the adipose are being carried upwards. They don't need her anymore because technically they've committed a crime. Like she's murdered. Like I think they managed to stop it in time, and it's only like 100 or so people actually, maybe more. But it's in the hundreds rather than the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Like people have died, and that's a crime. And the Adiposian families don't want to be connected to that. So they drop her. And that's gruesome. That is proper grisly. Sarah Lancashire has fun playing Miss Foster. She's really good in the role. Proper sort of season opener. You get it. We're not going too deep. It's a perfect on the surface performance where the actor can have fun with it kind of villain.
Yeah.
She has a sonic pen.
Does.
We get to see what happens when two sonic devices are pushed together.
It makes a horrible sound.
And we also have the adipose, which, Doctor Who very rarely has, bested K9 in terms of creating a cute mascot.
Are you kidding? He's adorable.
What do you mean am I kidding? Rarely, aside from K9... they've rarely bested K9.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Wow, so defensive for your boy.
So defensive. I thought you were saying
look at the picture of Kittens, Howard.
Look at the picture of K9, Lucy. I mean, not Chris.
Not Chris. But the adipose came close, and I don't think they ever really stuck around in that way. But certainly at the time of this episode going out in Series 4, I remember British press and people at school, college, and everyone being like, "Oh my god, they were proper cute, weren't they cute?"
Well, I had a stress ball.
Yeah.
I have a teddy.
Yeah.
Still have my teddy. I had earrings. I had stickers. Christopher bought me a set of something that had adipose in it, just because it had adipose in it.
Can't remember what it was.
Oh, Min!
Be careful, Min. But also, you bought me, and I've sold batches of them over the years on eBay and stuff, but I've kept a big chunk from here. You bought me at one point the 20 pack of them, when one of the action figures in a line was just 20 adipose in an action figure box.
Yeah.
These are the ones I've still got. So I've got...
you like to army build?
3, 4, 5, 7. I've got 6 of them still.
Hello.
But, yeah, I adore them. And I think they're great. But it is absurd when you think about it. They're adorable. They're also made from the blood and guts and fat of people who've just been killed. And it's beautifully summed up in that moment where Donna's waving and just says... I'm waving at fat. The Doctor's like, yeah. She goes with him. Not only does she go with him at the end, she was freaking prepared. She has bags packed.
Suitcases and everything. She puts her mum's car keys in the bin.
Yeah, they wave to Wilf when they're flying above the Earth into his telescope, and you get that lovely moment where obviously, because I imagine her dad would have kind of reacted the same way because of the runaway bride, but Wilf, obviously having just met in one story, goes up brilliant, but he's like, it's her! It's him! It's him! Because he remembers the bloke who randomly vanished in front of him on Christmas Day. But that bit's wonderful.
And he has a little dance on the hill.
He does.
Oh, he's so cute.
This is
so
like Smith and Jones, I think. This is a great series opener for the show already up and running. You if you're watching it at this point, you're either watching it because you saw last year or you've heard good things, so you want to give it a try. It's a really good season opener. It's really fun. There is peril. It's nothing too heavy. It very subtly starts up the series arc. Excuse me. And if you've never seen it before, there's only one thing that doesn't quite make sense. But if you have seen it before, and I remember watching this go out in 2008 and having no idea this was coming, the ending just before they travel away is wait, what? Because Donna leaves her mum's car keys in a bin. And goes over to the crowd to tell this woman in the crowd, the barrier, trying to see what's gone on. There's going to be a woman coming here soon. Just tell her that bin there. She'll know. That bin there. Thanks. And off Donna runs. And the woman turns to the camera. And... It's you!
No!
No, it's Rose Tyler.
Rose.
Unless there's Billy Piper watching, in which case, hi, really? Why are you watching this? Go do cool things. You're awesome. You don't have to watch this.
We have mutual friends.
We do. But it's Rose. And I remember being so taken aback when I first saw this, being like, wait, what?
Didn't we, talk straight after it or something?
Yes.
Because obviously we were, courting each other, so we'd ring each other all the time. Were we going out this
Yeah, 2008. College.
Yeah, so we
second year of college, we were going out. In fact, I think you watched this at my mum and dad's, my mum and stepdad's. Yeah, because it happened, and we went.
We did
Oh,
because
there was Rose.
I must have been really annoying, going, "Oh, yeah, that's so cute! Oh my god, it's Rose!
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh shit, guys, it's Rose! Oh my god!" That was me on the night.
You're gonna burn!
You're gonna burn, Rose! Get in the church! Still the best doctor. Anywho. I'm the best Instagram user. Anyway, so... And then she walks away and she disappears. Mystery! Episode 2. Oh, hang on. Well, what do you think of Partners in Crime? I bloody love it. I've already said that. What do you think of Partners in Crime?
Are you talking to me on camera?
You, sir.
Min, what do you think?
You, not the dog.
Oh, not the kids.
Whose feet are down here.
Yeah, I love it. Because I distinctly remember us having a conversation before this series started. I think we were walking to your house or something. And me going, I cannot stand
Catherine Tate.
You
had a moment then, didn't you?
I said Sharon Tate. What the hell? Catherine Tate. No, Sharon Tate's the one that died, isn't she? The one that was stabbed by.
Can we carry on with the review?
Yeah. So the Mansons. Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
I remember thinking, no,
that's what he kept telling everyone it was. Sorry, carry on.
I cannot stand Catherine Tate, because obviously her comedy show had been out. I'm a bothered.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there I like, but it was the era of catchphrase comedy being key, and I can't stand.
I've got to admit, there's not that many British comedies that I enjoy.
Modern British comedies.
Sorry, modern.
I was going to say you definitely like some older ones.
Oh yeah,
the
old ones are the best ones. But so I was very, 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 very sceptical about Catherine Tate.
And you've been fine with her in the Runaway Bride.
Yeah, she was annoying, but it's because she was supposed to be annoying.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as I watched this episode, I was like, I am now her biggest fan. Because she's just so funny and so what the Doctor needs.
Did you... Yeah, he needs a mate. You want a mate? You're not mating with me, sunshine. And she calls him a skinny streak of nothing. It's like she's saying, she's basically saying, I won't have sex with you, you're skinny. It's calm down. That's not what any of this means.
It's very funny. And it's nice to not have a romantic side to
going forward, knowing it's not going to be the same. Yeah, because it's... Because again, I developed it over the years, and I think you certainly did from our rewatch, a newfound appreciation of Martha's arc and Martha's angle and how she closes it off. And we've mentioned it before, but a wonderful writer called Cavan Scott is a lovely man, he's a nice friend, who did my podcast for me a few years ago. Talk about Series 1, 9 is 10, usually linked at the end of these reviews, in case you're curious. And he talked about how 9 into 10's arc as Doctors is moulded by their relationship with Rose, and Martha is the unfortunate rebound girlfriend, and then the Doctor starts to realise, I'm being an arsehole, so he needs his best friend.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. He's like, I need my best mate, I need a good mate, I need somebody who'll have a laugh with, who'll keep me straight and narrow. And of course the last time we saw Donna, she said, don't travel alone. She made a point of saying, you're terrifying, please find someone.
Yeah.
And he does, which is probably why he invites Martha so soon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, mates off in space. And time, specifically, back into the year of 79 AD to... to the base of Mount Vesuvius, and the day before... Vesuvius erupts. Not Chris, tell them about the Fires of Pompeii.
Well, they're in Pompeii. Donna is very excited because she's in a totally different place.
Mm.
And this is her first time. Yeah, and we have that amazing bit again where she's like, oh, but how can I be speaking? How can I understand everybody?
Yeah, because it's technically the first time it's been recapped since Rose's era, because they don't really touch on it in Martha's. Yeah.
The doctor's like, well, you're technically speaking Latin because the TARDIS is translating everything, and she just goes off like, I'm speaking Latin. And it's just so cute.
I love how the characterization's genius as well, because everyone's priority is different. Rose finds that out in End of the World, and she's like, what, it's inside my head? Like, you didn't tell me, you didn't get my permission. Donna's reaction is, oh my god, this is brilliant!
Oh my god, I'm speaking Latin!
And then she's like, what happens if I speak Latin?
And the doctor will just like, try it, don't it?
He gives it a try, says it to a stall owner, played by bloody Phil Cornwell of Dead Ringers fame.
What does she
I
say?
can't remember what she says, but he thinks she's speaking Welsh.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. And that crops up throughout the episode. Like, every now and again, someone will say something Latin. One of our main characters will say something in Latin just briefly, and another character, they'll react to it, or they'll say something in Welsh instead. It's brilliant. It's sort of like a continuing version of the...
No, don't do that.
Of Dickens going, what the Shakespeare? Like that whole thing of, well, hang on, what did they say before this phrase was coined? And it's like, that's pretty genius. But they very quickly learn that it's the eve of Volcano Day. Vesuvius erupts tomorrow. Before we talk about what makes this episode really special, should we just talk about the basic plot of it?
Yeah.
So they're like, right, we've got to get out of here. Well, the Doctor's like that. And but they can't. The TARDIS has been pinched.
Because Donna's like, no, we've got to tell people, we've got to warn people.
Yeah, but we'll get to that, because that's the meaty bit, really, of the whole episode.
Sorry.
No, it's alright.
Spoilers.
But the TARDIS has been nicked by Caecilius and his family, who thought it was an art installation on for sale at the market, and just bought it off of a trader who was like, yeah, I'll claim it, sure.
The same trader that Donna was talking to.
Yeah. My name is Phil Cornell, and not many people know that. I think whenever I see him in something, regardless of what he's doing, I just picture his Greg Dyke impression from Dead Ringers, but it was just an impression of Michael Caine. Do you remember? He was the Director General of the BBC. My name is Greg Dyke, and not many people know that.
Yeah!
Like, every time I see him, I think of that. Sorry, Phil. But anyway. So, hijinks ensue. The TARDIS is nicked. They learn about Evelina, Frances Fowler, and the fact that she and others have been not indoctrinated or enrolled into sort of an apprenticeship for the Sibylline Sisterhood.
Yeah.
This group of soothsayers who predict the end of times and XYZ, and they seem to get their foretelling powers by inhaling the fumes of the gods, as they seem to see it. Because it's, everybody's got gods. Gods for every house, gods for every change of the bloody weather, gods for the change of the tide, gods for your farts. Like, it's that period in history.
They had literally gods for everything.
Yeah, and they're inhaling the fumes of Vesuvius through sort of a tunnel network. That seems to be not only giving them prescient psychic power and foretelling abilities, but also turning parts of their flesh to stone. The Sibylline Sisterhood are keeping an eye on the Doctor and Donna, especially through one of their agents, who I don't know if they're just called Soothsayer in the credits, but the one who follows them around is played by a very familiar-looking person, who we'll be talking a lot more about in another season's time. But yeah, first appearance of Karen Gillan. Take a shot, everybody.
Yeah. I didn't think she was. I didn't think she'd be as noticeable as she was, because I remember seeing it after
Series 5.
Amy was a companion. I'm thinking, I don't know where she is. Which one is she?
And now it's like,
and I'm like, oh my god, she's right there.
Blatantly Karen Gillan. She's not the only future cast member who's in this episode.
Not at all.
Caecilius himself, Peter Capaldi, making his Doctor Who debut.
Indeed.
A lifelong Doctor Who fan who, there's a story from the set that he told in an interview that he said the first time he was on it was for this, and it was his first scenes in their homestead with the TARDIS there, and he saw it and he said, oh, David apparently caught him looking a bit kind of like, oh, excited. He went, you're right. He went, it's the TARDIS. And David was like, it is, yeah. He went, can I see it? David went, come on. And he says what was wonderful about that moment is he was in the scenes with it. He's touching it in the scenes. But what was really special was the Doctor took him over to see the TARDIS.
That's so
And it's like, that's really cute. Little does he know that 6 years from now, he'll be the one showing other people around that time machine.
Oh, Peter, if only you knew.
Hey, when we get to it, we might revise our own all opinions. You've still not seen all of his era.
Yeah, because...
So that's going to be interesting.
We'll get to that.
But he's wonderful. I mean, everyone's wonderful. The entire family, all the other actors in this. Tracy Childs, Pete Capaldi, Sacha Bahar's brilliant. Francis Fowler, Lorraine Boras. Victoria Wicks as the High Priestess of the Sibylline Sisterhood when we see her. Amazing performance work through all of that makeup.
Yeah, not that you'd noticed.
She's terrifying, but it's the idea of like a soothsayer who's been imbibing the fumes so much, like her whole body is now rock.
Yeah. Like
proper scary. And what's really going on is spoken through her. The Pyrovile are a race that, again, their world is gone. And they're looking to essentially repopulate here by slowly taking people and essentially that's the plan. There's like a slow invasion for them to have new bodies to live in. They also sort of have foot soldiers that just coincidentally seem to look like Roman soldiers.
They look like stone transformers.
Yeah, and their plan, their like circuitry and all this stuff is helping to be formed by them giving visions to Lucius, played by Phil Davies, who like can play creepy at the drop of a hat, and he plays super creepy in this, especially the moments where he starts dropping truth.
Yeah,
the scene where Lucius and Evelina both start saying things about the Doctor and Donna. And it's clear that it's like, yeah, there is something psychic about all this, definitely, because what they're saying makes sense. And then they look to the future. I'm trying to remember what it says about the Doctor.
That he'll die or something?
No, it's not. It's not that. It's because we're a bit too early for that. I can't remember. But he says, to Doctor,
you're gonna burn.
And he says, to Donna, he says, who was it? Daughter of London. There's something on your back. Which is proper freaky at this point. It's proper freaky at this point when you know what's coming.
Yeah.
I remember watching it the first time and being like, ooh, I wonder what that's going to be, and then completely forgetting because it doesn't get brought up again.
There's something on your... ominous.
Until episode 11, but yeah.
Ominous.
All that is great. All that is really, really good. Ultimately, okay, so let's talk about the meat.
Ooh.
Let's talk about the meat and patates of this one and why it is really remarkable. It's week 2 of the series going out. In previous years, we've had here's all the weird alien stuff. Haha, let's get used to how weird it can be. And, hey up, we're running around with a werewolf and Queen Victoria. Japes and scrapes.
Golly gosh.
And we're going to meet Shakespeare. Isn't this fun?
The new...
And then... this series, hi, so if you can travel through time, can you stop these people from being killed in the eruption of Vesuvius in Pompeii? What do you mean no? What do you mean you won't do it? Because Donna's first thought is, you've got to save everyone. You've got to get them out. And the Doctor's like, we can't.
It's a fixed
this is a fixed point in time. This is where they kind of begin the really hammering in the idea that there are certain events so monumental. A bat just flew past.
Oh.
Sorry, got momentarily distracted. There's moments in time so monumental that they can't be touched. And when the Time Lords were around, there was a proper documented history of what these moments were and where to not interfere in any way. And Pompeii is one of them. And Donna refuses to stand by it.
It's such an interesting theory because when you say to people, oh, if you had a time machine, what would you do with it? A lot of people say, oh, I'd go back and
kill Hitler.
Kill Hitler, or I'd stop the towers from being attacked. And it's like, but what would happen what would the world be like if that hadn't happened? Yeah,
it's not saying that those things have to have happened. It's the ripples of those things happening are so big.
Yeah, exactly.
They are so big that they affect the course of human history going forwards.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what this is. Pompeii is it's one of those. Do you know what I mean? But I love the fact throughout the episode Donna challenges the Doctor on it.
Really, really emotionally as well.
Catherine gets to. I think that's why this episode is in place at number 2. This and the next one. I think it's because they wanted to say to the public, hey, you know that lady you mostly know for the sketch show?
Look at what she could do.
She can do this. Yeah, this episode on Planet of the Ood, I think, are mostly a showcase for Catherine Tate's dramatic abilities. Also, because there's moments of levity, but it's about making you go, oh my god, Donna's got a point though. I agree with Donna. I understand that we can't change anything, but my god, she's right though. She's right. This shouldn't be allowed to happen.
I think it makes her such an amazing companion because she is an everyday person. Everybody would want to do that. She's not had, a particularly exciting life.
I don't know. There was that one time she got fed space chemicals by a spider and a puppeteered supervillain husband.
Apart from that,
yeah,
she's not had a very exciting life. And I mean, she's lived her life. She's not a teenager like Rose was.
She's not a teenager like Rose or a student like Martha.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Martha was in her 20s, but like she was still quite young, and she was keeping her family together. So she's not gone out there and done stuff. Whereas Donna's done stuff. She's they never outright say it, but there's lots of archetypal mother making references to like, you better hurry up, I'm not going to be getting any grandchildren at this rate and stuff. So like, you get the feeling she's probably in her late 30s, mid to late 30s.
Yeah. And
her mum's really having a go at her for it. So she's done things already.
Yeah.
And she has different perspective to Rose and Martha.
Yeah, she's not being the doctor like, oh, you need to do it like this. You need to, oh, but okay, I'll trust you. She's like, no.
Get her done.
You need to do this. It makes you a bad person if you don't want to do this.
And he's trying to explain to the best of his ability to someone who's really only just come into his life that if he could change it, he would. Because he makes points to like, don't you think that if I could go back to my own? Because she makes a point to see what your own people. He's like, don't you think I would go back and change that if I could? But I can't. And it's really tense. Like for week 2, it's like, oh, we're having fun. Oh god. Oh that. Oh my god! Like this episode could end with her going back home.
Yeah.
And us just going, yeah, no, I buy it. Like it's harsh.
Imagine how amazing that would have been if this was her only story. Sorry, her second story, and then it was her last one. Like,
I mean, obviously she'd be leaving for more altruistic reasons, but we've been given an example of what that could be like with Adam in series 1. The idea of like not everyone's sort of braced for this, and maybe that's okay.
I'm glad about that because I had a feeling that it was going to be. Watching it again, I was feeling, oh god, if he'd have stayed, it'd have been like an Adric thing.
But the whole point of that is that he's not right for it, and it's there to build up the idea that Rose is the reason why the Doctor gets back to being who he is, really, because she's, no one else is, not just anyone can join the TARDIS and stick around.
Yeah.
And that's why the tension here is so interesting, because it's like, God, will it just be one story together? One story travelling together. But because the problem is, he then has to pull the trigger. He gets another Time War. He starts the eruption of Vesuvius. The thing they do to counteract everything and stop the pyrovile is the thing that leads to the explosion that causes the eruption that starts it all. And he kind of realises that not only is this a fixed point, history is making me do this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it always was this. Like, it's just really horrible. But it's that whole thing of, like, either Pompeii suffers or the whole world does.
Yeah.
And it's, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Thanks, Spock. Good work. It's a tough decision, but then, of course, she pushes him one last time. And they get in the TARDIS.
No, you're forgetting the amazing moment where he's got to, detonate this thing to set everything up. And he's so upset that he's the one that's got to do it. And Donna puts her hands
on the detonator as well, yeah.
And they do it together. And I think that is one of my favourite moments in the whole of Doctor Who, because the way she looks at him, they don't even say anything.
Yeah.
They just look at each other. And you can see in his eyes that he's so grateful.
It's something that we'll see again in the likes of the anniversary special, the 50th anniversary, for example, when two previous He get together to be there by his side because they know what it's like to have to do this because they've lived through it a few times. Obviously, in that case, they figure out a way around it all, but like whatever. Like it's beautiful, but then like they get back to the TARDIS and he's like, right, we're going. Like, he's not even speaking, and she's like, just save someone. So Caecilius's family, they take them before everything wipes them out, and basically just it's that whole thing of like he essentially implies that they should live a relatively quiet life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's not obviously she's obviously not getting visions anymore.
Yeah, the Paraval connection's gone from Evelina. Maybe put some cream on that stony rash.
The lad who is like, let's be honest, at the beginning he's like one of the lads kind of guys. And now he's a doctor.
He's pushing for a doctorate, studying to become a doctor of medicine.
So it's all very... It worked out wonderfully, and the gods that they pray to in the new house where they live now are the Doctor and Donna.
Yeah. It's freaking great performances all around in this one from everyone, but especially our two leads.
Yeah.
It's not one that I used to think massively highly of when I was growing up. I always liked it, but I was never like, oh, it's one of the best. I'm going to be hard pressed to find one the rest of this series that outweighs it in terms of just like, oh my god, that is a gut punch.
It is such an emotional roller coaster.
So it's going to be interesting to see how we go. Our last story... Oh, and also we can't skip without mentioning the water pistol moment, which is just freaking great. Him busting in on the near sacrifice of Donna, and it's like, this is very like Braid of Morbius and Image of the Fendal.
Is it the Daemons that...
the Daemons got with Joe on the thing. It's like, this is... Yeah, and it's the Tom Baker thing of just coming in and basically goof chatting his way around it all. Oh, yes.
Kind of. I'm making it up as I go along.
Yeah. Planet of the Ood. A sequel of sorts to Series 2's Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Planet of the Ood is Doctor and Donna end up on the Ood sphere. Because, is it a signal? Brings them off course? Summit or other?
No, I don't know. I can't think what it is.
No, not particularly. It seems not based on what I'm reading in my notes, but maybe I'm wrong.
Under the dog.
But yeah, the dog is sitting on my phone now. Thanks, Minnie. But no, come over here, Bubba. So they find a dying Ood in the snow.
They do.
A dying Ood, and Donna tries to talk into its.
Into its ball.
But the doctor's like, no, don't do that. It's the circle, like the circle must be broken, and then it goes feral before it dies. Very briefly, red eyes, which is unnervingly familiar. Yeah. They're on the Ood sphere, which is in sort of the I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like an area of the galaxy where there's different spheres. The Doctor mentions he's been here. The Doctor mentions he's been in this part of space before, which is a reference to the Sensorites way back in Series 1, or early Hartnell, with the Sense Sphere, which suddenly explains why the Ood look the way they do.
Yeah. Like
grey boiler suits, bald heads. They talk telepathically. They, have a very kind of static manner about their movement and everything. So they are sort of like cousins of the Sensorites. Ood Industries, is it? If it's another Industries, that'll be Ood Operations. That's it.
Odysseys.
Ood Operations make some pretty good scrap cakes too. Ood Operations are the people who ship Ood out to different Earth colonies and Earth worlds. A subservient race that was found who just want to serve people. And isn't this great? And recently some of the stock have been getting red eye and going feral, and some of them have managed to kill employees with like electric jolts from the spheres, like what we saw happen in Series 2 when they were possessed. Mm-hmm. So I'll be honest, the first time I was watching this I was like, are we getting a mini sequel to the Satan Pit 2-parter? No, it's a sequel in that it's an Ood story.
Yeah, it is.
because even the Doctor makes a point of that. He's saying, like, I've seen them like this before, but that was when a higher mind was like taking control of them. Like this is something else. Like it's sporadic.
They're screaming. Ooh.
And he can hear them. He can hear them screaming, calling out. But later on, we find that sound is more like a song.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially, we have a story of company espionage and bad stock. Effectively, what's going on. We get some nice characters in this one. Dr. Ryder, Commander Cass, Mr. Bartle. Solana, she's bloody great. But the most notable, of course, is Mr. Halpin, played by Tim McInerney, or as most people know him, Darling, or Percy. He's. Do you know what? Like, I think it was kind of the perfect guest role for him. He suits it really well. As a comedic actor, it would have been maybe nice to have seen him being given a slightly funnier part to play with. But I think he plays the slimeball CEO kind of thing brilliantly in this.
He does, and I don't like it.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because I hate him.
Oh, so it worked then.
Exactly.
His little hair tonic that he keeps taking with his personal Ood assistant, Ood Sigma. Basically an Ood with a design. Like a black tunic, little Sigma sign on it.
His own personal Ood.
Yeah. We find out that Oods can be pre-programmed and sold onto other colonies in bundles. They could have different voice packs. Comedy classics. Oh! Which was really weird to see.
Giving an Ood a sexy voice? No. Don't do that.
Essentially, I think for 2008, that would have been a sat-nav joke more than anything. The idea of them having customizable voices. But
it's like having
we've had Siri and Home Assistant
Alexa,
since. Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's oddly prophetic in a weird way. Difference is our Home Assistants aren't chasing after us and zapping us and saying the circle must be broken. We have double agents. We have people who are working for other people and other organisations. Is it the Save the Ood?
Yeah.
Or they've got a name. There's like essentially sort of like a charity organisation that's trying to. What are they called? They've got a name. It's bloody brilliant. I forgot what it is. Friends of the Ood. That's it. Friends of the Ood.
I'd say that's like a groundbreaking name.
No, but it makes it says just what it says on the tin. You get that it's like there are people out there who agree this is weird, and Rose touches on that briefly in the original two-parter. That's like, this is weird. You just do what people say.
Yeah.
And there's like a throwaway line of, yeah, no, they like it. Honestly, they have like no direction. They only feel comfortable if they're being given tasks.
Jinx.
And that may be partially true.
You can't talk. I jinxed you. Yeah, you can't talk. Does it, Chris?
Thank you, for Christ's sake. So,
Ew, I called you Chris.
yeah, it was weird. It may be partially true that they need direction or they're comforted by being given kind of direction or assignments.
Yeah.
But we learn that if that's part of their nature, it's not their full nature. Because we find some Ood that haven't been made ready yet. Yeah. The thing that's in their hands when they are natural Ood are their brains.
Oh, it makes me so sad, even though it's not real.
Yeah.
It makes me so sad.
So the factory ones are ones who have had sort of like a brain on an umbilical cord almost, the way it's depicted.
They've essentially been lobotomized.
They've been lobotomized and they perform through their psychic connection, but like they're not free-willed anymore. So it's like someone at some point in the history of the species found that they like lacked direction and purpose, took advantage of that want to, reach out, connect, be kind, be useful, and then turned it into a factory setting by putting them through a basic operation.
It makes me so sad.
So the Ood, prior to the events of this story, are a lobotomized slave race.
Yeah.
And
they're huddled together, and the way that the Doctor found them was because they
he
were
heard the
singing.
song, which is their wails, their cries of anguish,
Yeah.
and he uses his, because this Doctor's got a bit of the old psychic ability. He opens Donna's mind to hear it, and she can't handle it. And again,
cries.
Catherine Tate just being showcased as a dramatic performer, like her reaction, just static shot, and she just starts crying.
This episode is just heartbreaking.
It's bloody horrible. So Ood are going feral left, right, and centre. There are those in the shipping containers. You've got the security chief, who is a proper boo-hiss villain. He's brilliant. Commander Kess. Mm-hmm. Proper villain. Who's, like, chasing the Doctor with a bloody, like, claw machine grabber thing used for the tankers. There's some great set pieces in this. For 45 minutes, they cram a lot in. Mm-hmm. Donna being locked in one of the cargo shipping containers with a bunch of Ood that are starting to turn feral and slowly approach. Like, there's some great stuff. Their banter back and forth's really good, especially when she's like standing up for them both, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's good. That good point." It's like she's fully fitting into this. She's seeing the injustices, and she's like, "This is wrong. This sucks." Like she's not just sort of going, "Doctor, what do we do?" She's like, "No, I know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to do. This is crap, and it needs to be called out that it's crap, and you're all crap." They're left to die, but the Dr. Donna thing brings them around. And then everything's going to shite, but that's when we learn what the circle is. Years ago, there's a specific sort of lab section under the factory that was cordoned off like a couple decades prior, which, the Ood brain is down there. Like, the main consciousness for them all. The reason why they're psychic, they communicate psychically and telepathically, is because though they have sort of an extension to themselves, there's this one captured brain that is the thing that's basically been keeping them all going. But it's captive. It's being prodded and poked to keep them subservient. So after Ood Sigma double crosses Halpern, after Halpern has thrown Dr. Ryder into the bloody brain and he's just sunk into it.
Yeah.
Which is really creepy.
Yeah.
The connection is broken, and the Ood are free.
Yay.
How does Ood Sigma defeat Halpern, Boo?
So he has this tonic for his hair, and it's not really doing anything. His hair is not growing back. Instead, he's turning into an Ood. Mm-hmm. He turns into an Ood.
Yeah, enough distilled, like, sort of genetic fluid of their people. So the implication that Ood can possibly procreate by turning other life forms into Ood, and not like the alien. It's not like they force people to do it, but obviously it has the ability to do it,
which is scary if you think about it.
Yeah, and he just, in a really nice bit of visual effects work, peels his own head off to reveal an Ood head underneath. And his brain on a little stem falls out of his spaghetti mouth.
Pops out of his mouth.
And Ood Sigma's like, "We'll take care of him now. Like, we'll take care of him.
He's one of us."
It's like, oh, if anything, that's like the nicest punishment he could have had, really.
I'm torn.
Fair enough. So they leave, and before they leave, their song is different. It's this beautiful, wonderful choral melody. And they talk about how they will sing songs of the Dr. Donna. Yeah. Because they introduce themselves as Dr. Donna, and they'll sing songs of the Dr. Donna, which is bloody wonderful. But they also mention the Doctor, your song must end. And he's like, "Oh, that's a bit weird." Yeah, anyway, off we go. But he's sort of noticeably taken aback for a second, like, "You what, mate?" Now, of course, this is nice, because that has a double meaning. It's a very, very early teaser for the specials year and the story arc for the specials.
Yeah.
But later on this series, his song meets their end. It's a River Song reference. So it's like...
no!
Hey, come on.
Oh, okay, I'll give you that.
That
episode is fantastic.
Yes. So it's like, and that's kind of...
In that.
Calm down, you might feel differently this time.
No.
But I like the double meaning. I like Planet of the Ood a lot.
Wrong.
Planet of the Ood is alright, Fat Controller, Jesus. The meme. I'm not calling my wife a Fat Controller. This isn't one I'd like go back to revisit a lot.
It's so sad. But
it's sort of in the same kind of thingy for me as, like, say, Gridlock, or...
Yeah.
What have you? Daleks in Manhattan kind of. It's like
episode.
This is no. Like It's good. It's good, but it's not like if you've got 3 hours to watch some episodes from the box set, it's not one I'm picking.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the Ood again. The visual effects, the makeup, the design for these guys is.
I love the Ood. Yeah.
Is wonderful, and this is the last Ood story. From now on, they appear in cameos. So we see Ood Sigma again in the specials year very briefly. We see an elder Ood voiced by Brian Cox. Because I guess one of them must have a different voice in the specials year as well. We have Nephew in series 6 in the Doctor's Wife. So we have other Oods popping up after this, but this is the last like Ood story.
Yeah,
and it's a bloody good one.
An Ood centric story.
What about you guys? What do you think of Partners in Crime?
You're not gonna ask me what I think.
The Fires of Pompeii. What do you think?
I think it's great. It's really sad when when they find the brain. I don't know if it's mentioned earlier in the episode. When they find the brain, it's their planet. Like, they've come to harvest these slaves on their own planet. Which is just awful. Excuse me, I burped. I think
Great.
it's very good, but like you say, it's not one I'd go back to because it breaks my heart.
Box set, absolutely. Box set watch, absolutely. Like, it's not like we're skipping it.
Yeah, no, you don't.
We don't think it's bad at all, but it's a bit heavy.
It really does upset me.
And Planet of the Ood. What about you? Which of these 3 stories is your fave? Any little tidbits or factoids that we might be interested in that we may not have talked about? Let us know down below. We're big fans of Did You Know? Not so much actually. So engage, folks. Cheers. We'll be back at some point with the next video where we're going to get some Sontaran in our diet and see an old friend come back.
We're going to have potatoes that night because that's what Sontarans look like. They look like potatoes. That's my input. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm going to stop the recording right there, and people are going to have to live with that as the out.